So my name is Hanbury. I have a PhD in public history and I'm the county archivist. Well, I do a lot of things, but primarily I keep the county's records, so we preserve the county's records, we organize them, provide access to them to the public, and we're always on the lookout for other collections that may add to that. So although most of our records are local government based, we also will consider materials that are non-government but pertain to the county's history. So we have a lot of different records. Montgomery County is really fortunate in that sense, in that we've never had a courthouse fire in the county. And during the Civil War, the county courthouse was not burned. So our records consist of things like deeds, mortgages, marriage licenses, wills, estates, and a lot of records that pertain to the history of slavery. Our records go back to the beginning of the county in 1816, which predates the state. In fact, some of our records, very, very few, will actually read Mississippi Territory across the top. The Montgomery County Archives is uniquely positioned to contribute to Black History Month. And so what we're going to do over the course of February is present unique items from the archives' collections. We're going to focus on things like the Montgomery bus boycott mugshots, an African-American marriage license from immediately after the Civil War, a list of enslaved people from an estate file, and a very unique probate court document called a slaveholder's affidavit. They're really important for a lot of different reasons. First and foremost, I think, is restoring some humanity to these people. They were not just enslaved objects, these were people with hopes, dreams, and lives. And I think by highlighting these records, that restores some humanity to them. They're also important for genealogists. As we all know, conducting African-American genealogy pre-1865 is very difficult because of slavery and the lack of last names. However, with these local records, which are actually available across the South, we can begin to trace African-American ancestors for folks pre-1865. And then I think they're just uniquely important because they are the community's history, and they tell us where our community was, is, and where it might go. Oh, the Montgomery County Archives is fantastic. It's a really unique facility. One, in that it is government funded, it's actually part of local government. Two, the facilities are excellent. And three, I think the support that we get from the probate court administration helps us to fulfill our mission. The Lantern Project is a really big deal because it's one of, I think, 3 or 4 major projects funded by the National Archives. We received $342,000 to digitize pre-Civil War legal records across the South. And the institutions involved include us, obviously, and Mississippi State University, Ole Miss, Delta State, the Columbus Lowndes Public Library in Mississippi, and the Historic Natchez Foundation. And it's a 3-year project, and over those 3 years, like I said, we're going to digitize pre-Civil War legal records that name enslaved people. Those records will be put into a database made available online, and so the entire world will ultimately be able to see these records. So our part is that simply that we're just going to be one of the contributing institutions in terms of digitizing these records and making them available. But I think it's really important to emphasize how big of a deal this is for us because Montgomery County was one of the leading counties in terms of slave population prior to the war. In fact, Montgomery County in 1850, I believe, had the 4th largest slave population in the state, and in 1860, the 3rd highest. So we have a lot of records that the public needs to know about, and we certainly want to see increased public use of these records after this project completes. So of the $342,000, we received just short of $21,000, and we used that money to purchase a large overhead book scanner, which allows us to scan a lot of our oversized records, of which we have a lot. Older legal records were usually compiled in large bound volumes, and a basic flatbed scanner won't allow us to scan that. So with that grant money, we can scan a lot of our records that we were unable to in the past.